All right, we're back. There's a giant clock on the screen because this is all post-production, so God help us, I broke out the video editor. I wanted to explore the batteries and series problem that I brought up in my previous video. Since batteries only charge at 80%, you lose efficiency every time you go further down the string here, so I put 6 batteries together to see how terrible this could actually be. And this is terrible. Here's what's happening. You're seeing the last battery here charge up. It has no load, so it's charging up at 80% of real time, which is the maximum efficiency you can get because the battery to its right is putting out 100 units of power. And the battery to his right is putting out 100 units of power into him, and so on and so forth. So the batteries in the middle are not going to count down in real time. They're going to count down at 20% of real time because they're getting charged from their neighbor. And the first battery in the string is going to discharge in real time because it has no input. So you'll see it goes down in real time. First battery goes down in real time. The rest of these are going to be very similar to each other based on when I connected them. But they're going to count down a lot slower, and the one on the end is going to count up at 80% to real time because he's got a full input load. Let me speed this up here a little bit so I can show you what happens. We get down, and then this battery is going to discharge. And it only has a minute and 56 seconds before it turns off because once you get below 5 seconds, it turns off. So the last battery is going to keep charging until all these are dead, and they're going to progressively die one down the line from right to left until they all get down to the 4-second mark. And I'm going to speed this up to demonstrate that because it takes several minutes here. You'll see by the clock. Okay, here we go. So these are each going to count down. They're putting out a full load until they hit 4 seconds. Um, Technically speaking, they're all discharging a minute and 56 seconds worth of run time into their neighbor, although again, you lose 20%. So at the end of 6.5 minutes here, all these batteries are going to be dead. And by dead, I mean less than 5 seconds of runtime. And even though a minute and 56 times 5 is uh, 9 minutes and 40 seconds, yeah. Um, we only added 5 minutes and 10 seconds to the last battery. It took 6.5 minutes. We added 5 minutes of the 10 minutes of runtime. So really inefficient. Um, Now I'm going to take this dead string. I'm going to hook it up to a power source. I got 200 units input power here. Doesn't matter. Remember previous video, they can't take more than 100 input anyway. Anything over that doesn't matter. So could be 200, could be 2,000. It's still only taking 100 units. As long as you're at 100 units or above, it charges at its full 80% maximum efficiency. So now what happens, because this battery's dead, it's just going to go to 5 seconds and 6 seconds, and that turns it on, so it's going to start discharging into its neighbor. So it's on, it's discharging, it's off because it gets below 4 seconds, and you're just going to see this go from 100 to 0. There it is, 100 to 0. 80% of the time it's going to be putting out power because it's getting power. The next one is progressively losing another 20%, so it's going to be on even less. And then the next battery down the line is going to be on even less than that because it has to wait for the second battery here to get enough juice to turn on. And then it loses 20% going to the third battery. So this becomes terribly inefficient the further you go down the line. And I'm going to speed it up just to show you how terrible this is. My previous videos, I was demonstrating numerically what happens when you charge for 10 minutes. You would get 8 minutes of power. That's what happens with a single battery. In our case here, we're going to charge for 10 minutes. And remember, we started at 7 7 minutes, 10 seconds. That's what it was. Yeah, 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Um, it's only going to make it up to 9:17 in 10 minutes. We had 2 minutes and 7 seconds worth of power in a 10-minute period. That's atrocious. Don't do this. Don't do this. This is stupid. Not only should you be breaking up your loads into different strings and just using like 1 or maybe 2 batteries per string, um, putting this many batteries together is you'll be waiting for days for these freaking things to charge because um, they can't charge any faster than this. If you really need to have fully charged batteries, use a bunch of input power and splitters and charge each battery independently, and then hook them up in series. You know, when you connect them to your load, so that they can you can have that runtime without any other blockers or switches. Um, if it were me, I'd only use two batteries, maybe at most three if you need more than 8 hours of runtime, I guess. Um, and I'd charge them in parallel. I'd output them in parallel and use blockers and branches and OR switches to cause each battery to turn on one at a time as the one before it died. Um, Maybe I need to make a video to demonstrate that, but that would make your charging efficiency way better. Putting them in series is really inefficient. It's simple, but it's super inefficient. So um, now you know, and knowing is half the battle.